Hello, welcome everyone. I want to do something a little bit different today. I know normally I live stream, but I've been playing a lot of retro games lately, and you can't really live stream retro games on the PlayStation 4. Since I've been playing a lot of these retro games, I've noticed something, and when I looked at my PlayStation 4 library, about half of the games I own for PlayStation are either remakes or remasters of older games. So I asked myself, what is it about the older games that not only make them worth replaying, but make them worth purchasing new updated HD copies? I really think that there is no real answer to that question. I think it's a personal question because for some people it might be the gameplay, for some people it might just be the nostalgia factor. So really there is no right or wrong answer to that question, but I thought it might be fun to take a look at it in a little bit more depth. So I came up with another question that I think is pretty important and that no one has been able to give an answer to either. Are video games getting dumber, or are we? And I found a franchise that really illustrates that point, because I think that that is a very vital question, and it's very apparent when you look at video games that originally came out a number of years ago and video games that are out today. The franchise Deus Ex has gone through a number of titles. There have been 4 altogether, and I think this franchise demonstrates the point that I'm trying to make completely. The original game came out in the year 2000. That's almost 20 years ago. Anyone who remembers the original game, think about that. That's 20 years old. Makes me feel like an old man. I don't know about you guys. I remember buying this game when it first came out, and I played this game over and over and over. It's an amazing game. It's, in my opinion, for whatever that's worth, it is one of the best, if not the best, PC games to have ever been made. It has something for everyone. You can play it so many different ways. The story is amazing. But I'm not really here to gloat and gush over this game. We're here to look at what happened to this franchise between the time the original game came out in 2000 and the release of the latest game, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, that came out in... oh crap, maybe I should do some research before I do these videos. It came out recently, we'll say that. If I feel like editing this video, I'll actually go and look at the date. If not, it'll be in the comments or description below. But you can definitely see a difference between the game that came out in 2000 and the latest game in the series. When you start a new game in the original Deus Ex, this is what you get. A list of abilities and the amount of experience points it costs to upgrade each of these abilities. You're not going to be able to pick all of them. You have to pick and choose how you want to play. And at this point, you haven't been given any gameplay at all, so you don't know what the game is going to give you. Only thing that you could have done is play the tutorial level, which has nothing to do with the rest of the game. So you have to go on a whim and guess. Now, that was the original Deus Ex. They trusted you to make decisions and to accept the consequences of those decisions. Mankind Divided. No choices, no decisions, throws you right into the action. Gives you a cutscene that could have been out of Call of Duty, and bam, right into gameplay. Now let's look at our augmentations, the upgrades that you can get in these games. In the original Deus Ex, they start you off with 3. The first one on the list is an automatic friend or foe identification. This turns your crosshairs green or red, depending on if you're looking at an enemy or a friendly person. I think in almost every game these days, that's a pretty standard feature. Here it's considered an upgrade. I guess technically you could argue that it isn't an upgrade because it's given to you from the start, but it is in your augmentation menu. So technically, by the game standard, it is an upgrade. Next to the friend or foe identifier, in the middle, you have a flashlight. I don't know why they considered that an upgrade. I mean, tons of first-person shooters have had flashlights before, but I guess this one is special because it comes out of your eyes. I have no idea, but that is an upgrade. A flashlight. Yay. This next one is a one-way microtransceiver array that allows agents in the field to receive messages from control. Basically, a Bluetooth headset. So, in the original Deus Ex, your augmentations were a friend or foe identifier, a flashlight, and a Bluetooth headset. It sounds like they actually wanted you to play the game and make your own decisions as you went along. Sounds like they didn't want to hold your hand. Sounds like they trusted you to play the game. Now, let's take a look at the latest game, Mankind Divided. These are all the augs that you start off with. It's not every single augmentation in the game, but it's most of them. And at least one of every type of aug is represented here. Now, let's take a second, and I just want to say I really don't understand why games do this. If you have a game where you can level up your powers or your abilities or whatever, the start of the game will give you every power-up and every weapon in the whole game and just make you feel like a total badass, only to take it away from you after the first mission. There's only 2 reasons I've found that they've done this. One of them is for a story reason, like say this is a sequel, and the other one, I guess, would be to get you hooked on the game. Well, if they're trying to get you hooked on the game by giving you everything up front, to me that just says that the game's not worth playing through and earning all the stuff, so they have to hand it to you up front to make you interested. And as far as a sequel storyline plot is concerned, that doesn't make any sense either, because they could just as easily explain what happened to your powers from the first game in a cutscene. Okay, back on track. Let's take a look at the map. This is the map from the original Deus Ex. There's no waypoints, there's no objective markers, there's no enemy placements, there's no room by room identification. It's just, hey, this is the island you're on. Go figure it out. Now, let's look at Mankind Divided's map. Here we have a room-by-room layout with objective marker. That'll tell you a little blurb about your objective, where you're going, and what it's all about. The little red areas are restricted zones where people will shoot you if they see you, and the black zones are safe zones. Room by room, floor by floor. Everything is laid out for you. Kind of takes the edge off the game, kind of eliminates the need to go exploring, if you ask me. And, as if that's not bad enough, on the main screen, if you look up in the corner at the minimap, you can see all the things I just mentioned, plus, as I'm walking, a little circle around me will tell you how much noise I'm making and who can hear me. This part I thought was interesting. Now let's say you've never played a Deus Ex game before and you don't know that you can interact with objects. Without the giant flashing objective marker in the middle of the screen, how long would it take you to figure out to move those boxes? If you're a gamer who plays a lot of games, maybe not long. If you've never played a game like this before, it could take a good while. But everything is laid out on the screen. Pick me up, move me, rotate me, throw me. And the big giant flashing objective marker on the screen just ruins any kind of exploration or any kind of thrill you get for figuring anything out on your own. Another thing I noticed, in the original Deus Ex game, there was a tutorial level. It was separate from the main game, and you didn't have to go through it. When you loaded it up, there's a little voice on your Bluetooth headset that says, hey, consider going through the agent training if this is your first time. And that's it. If you want to back out of the game, go to the options and start the training, you can. If you don't, you are thrown into the game. There's no hand holding, there's no coddling. It's just, this is your choice. You want to do the tutorial? Fine. We will show you how everything works. We will go through it step by step. If you don't want to, have fun. Then we get to the games of today. Just look at how many on-screen prompts there are for a tutorial. Press X and hold, press triangle. All of these things are in the first level. They pop up in the screen and they don't go away until you do what they say, until you do what you're supposed to do. And here you can see the obligatory X-ray vision. All the items you can interact with are highlighted. All the people are highlighted. Of course, he's dead, that's why he's not bright red. This I thought was hysterical. Not only is it a big white circle and yellow stress marks on the wall, it actually flashes the words structural weakness. Then we come to these, as if all the on-screen prompts weren't bad enough. It takes you out of the game to flash a full screen, separate tutorial for different things. Cover, combat, stealth, whatever. And you can choose to play them or ignore them. At least you can ignore them. But they're everywhere. And here, if you look right on the right-hand side of the keyboard, it says code database and it gives you the code. That's because I found it somewhere earlier in the game, so now it has to put it up on the screen for me. And this next one is hysterical. Big, bright letters on the screen. Heal yourself, dummy! I'm not sure, at this point, if you're playing a PlayStation game or just a very involved version of Simon Says. But let's set all that aside for a moment. All the button prompts, all the on-screen commands, all the hand-holding, and say, well, maybe the core gameplay is good. Maybe the core gameplay makes up for it. So let's see just exactly how the gameplay works in the original Deus Ex. Alright, right now I'm crouching, sneaking up on two guys. Let's see what happens. And I'm sorry this is so dark.
That's the difference right there. Just take a look at him.
Bad?
We cut off his arm, replaced half his face.
I saw somebody. Uh-oh.
I'm actually surprised that they noticed me as quick as they did. The enemy recognition and reaction time in the original game was really bad. That was one of the flaws. But you might say, okay, it's 20 years old, we'll forgive it. I'm sure it's gotten better in the newer games. But I was using a pistol, which is loud, and one guy saw me, or heard me, and said, hey, what's that? Turned around, but didn't do anything. I shot him in the head, and his buddy just stood there and let me shoot him too. Well, I guess that's a 20-year-old game for you. Surely the newer game's AI is much, much more advanced. Here we have Mankind Divided. Another thing that I haven't brought up either is the stealth portions of the game. Here you can see you have actual press X to enter cover. In the original game, cover was crouch behind an object. And he doesn't see me, I'm right next to him, and if you look at the minimap, you can see his field of view, doesn't hear me, starts walking away. Somehow, as I'm walking up to him there, he did spot me. What happened? How did we span a 20-year gap between the first game and the newest game, and the AI still sucks so bad? Both of these games that I was playing, taking footage from, was set on normal. And I wasn't playing one on easy and one on hard. They were both the same difficulty. Neither one of those people reacted properly for the situation. I don't know where they dropped the ball, but AI still needs a lot of work. It's no better than it was 20 years ago. And I haven't even gone over every change that's happened to the Deus Ex franchise between the first game and the latest game. Of course, like every other game that's come out these days, the newest game, Mankind Divided, has regenning health. I hate regenning health. It takes the fun out of a game. It takes the challenge out of a game. Please, please, please get rid of health regen. And I wish I could say that Deus Ex is the only franchise that this has happened to. Unfortunately, this problem is all too common in today's video games. If we go back to not even 20 years, if we go back 5 years, 10 years, we can see games that were challenging and really fun. But a lot of the games these days, they hold your hand, they walk you through it, they treat you like you're stupid. They don't let you figure things out on your own. They give you a small window to maybe figure it out on your own, and then a buzzer goes off and lights flash and say, here's the solution, do this. So I will end this video the same way I started, by asking the question, which came first? Did video games get dumber, or did we get dumber? No matter which one happened first, I would say that serious changes need to be made on both sides. If you've never thought about this question before, but this video has caused you to have some serious doubts about your intellect or that of the game developers, let me know in the comments down below which one you think is at fault. Leave a like, and be sure to tune in next time when I will be going back to live streaming. If you don't care about this issue and just felt like listening to me ramble, that's fine too. You can leave a like, or if you haven't made it this far, then I'm sitting here talking to myself. Either way, for those of you who have made it this far, thanks for sticking with me, and I will be back hopefully soon with more video games for you guys. I haven't decided what's next because I am still, thankfully, winding down the whole moving situation, but that means a lot of my video games and my cable internet are soon going to be boxed up and turned off. So we'll see what's next for this channel. It may have a little bit of a lag. Again, bear with me. Thanks a bunch, and we'll see you all next time.